listener production.
Hello, thanks for joining me for this bonus episode of The Briefing. I'm Sasha Barbagat. If you're lucky enough to have your mum or a mother-like figure in your life, chances are you'll be spending today celebrating them for Mother's Day. But across Australia, there are millions of girls and women who'll be grieving the loss of that person in their life. And there are concerns society isn't doing enough to support them. A new study by Deakin University and Motherless Daughters Australia has found the difficulties this group experiences in trying to cope with their grief, even revealing that their pain is often dismissed when they do seek help. So what is it like to mark Mother's Day without your mum? And what can we do to better support the motherless daughters in our own lives? Today I'm joined by Danielle Snelling. She's the co-founder of the not-for-profit group Motherless Daughters Australia. Danielle, thanks for being here. Tell us more about what your research uncovered about what motherless daughters are going through.
Thank you so much for having me. Our research was really important for us to conduct as a growing and emerging organisation, so we could learn so much more about our community of 25,000 plus women. And what it revealed to us was kind of what we already knew through an anecdotal perspective, but we lacked the evidence-based research for, and that was that mother loss has a significant impact on the quality of life of adult daughters and also can have a significant impact on health, mental health and physical health. So many experiencing things like anxiety, depression, sleep disturbance, stress, and even physical pain.
What about the response from the medical field, GPs, and the finding that some women are having their kind of trauma and their grief dismissed? How did you find that out?
We know that through hundreds of women sharing their story in our support group, and through that anecdotal evidence, we can draw lots of conclusions around that women are having their grief pathologised very early on, and by that I mean they're being diagnosed with depression where there is no pre-existing or coexisting mental illness at play. So we really feel that that is just a reflection of society and Western culture's inability to hold conversation and accept what grief might look like, that there's no right or wrong and that we're so uncomfortable with it. So we want to diagnose people and fix them by putting them in a box and getting them to hurry it up or move it on. And that's just not how it works. You know, it's a normal, natural response and it needs to be embraced and nurtured and felt.
Tell us more about the impact of losing your mum as a woman, as an adult. Help us better understand how that feels.
It's incredibly life-changing, and I can speak from both personal perspective and from, thousands of women in our community. Many of us describe it as feeling totally untethered, lost out at sea, no anchor. For someone who's had their mum and then she's just ripped away, it's just so debilitating at times. For many women, their mum is their greatest cheerleader and their supporter. And the grief that we feel as a result of her loss, it's huge. And we know that mother loss is so much more than grief. So we know that, loss under the age of 25, for example, we know that can cause social isolation, loneliness. It can significantly disrupt and impact a daughter's sense of identity, so forming that identity and maintaining that identity. And then we know that mother loss later on in life as an adult also poses significant challenges as well, because there's a greater adjustment issue at play.
Can you tell me why with your group that you helped co-found you chose to focus on daughters and not boys or sons as well? What is it about the mother-daughter bond that you felt needed this group to better support women who were going through it?
Mothers and daughters have this unique special bond, and we know through research also that the same sex or same gender parent-child relationship is so powerful and profound and unique. And we know also that daughters tend to gravitate towards their mums more so as we get older in life. We look to, familiarise ourselves with her and be like her in many cases, whereas sons look to differentiate from their mums as they get older. As women, we experience wonderful milestones in life that we often share with our mums. And when that's taken from us, those milestones are incredibly bittersweet. So, when we have children, or when we go wedding dress shopping, or when we get married, they're all things that we share with our mum. And it is significant for sons too, but we just know that there's something so special about that relationship as we grow older that just makes life so hard to be without her.
So the research talked a bit about how some respondents in the survey felt that they were dismissed by society for experiencing their grief, and as you mentioned a bit before earlier, were kind of told there's the expectation to, oh, come on, like she died a year ago, get over it or whatever. I want to ask you though, are things getting a little bit better in this space? I've noticed over the last maybe 5 years, I get emails from about late April, in the lead up to Mother's Day, from all of the millions of companies I'm unfortunately subscribed to saying, would you like to unsubscribe from upcoming Mother's Day promotion emails? And that move is designed so that women who have lost their mother don't have to be bombarded with constant Mother's Day messaging in the lead up to Mother's Day. So my question around that then is, are we getting better as a society at recognising just how tough it is to have to go through life without your mum?
Look, I think it's a great start. I mean, we have to start somewhere, and offering, the opportunity or the option to opt out of those emails is a great way to begin, having better conversations or holding space for those people. But again, we've heard from so many that opt out is fantastic, but then it's kind of go over there and we'll forget about you until this time is over, and then we'll bring you back in. Instead, we really want to encourage everyone to be having conversations. We want Mother's Day to be a day to celebrate all mums, including those who have died. And it's not only those significant times of year that are really hard, it's also the everyday. So disenfranchised grief does make grief in general really all the more difficult. People need to lean into conversations and push past that discomfort, ask about their mum, or allow them the opportunity to talk without thinking they're a bit weird or a bit strange because mum died 2 years ago and you should be over it. I mean, it's really quite a naive way to look at grief. When we love people when they're alive, why would we stop loving them and talking about them just because they've died? That makes no sense.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I have a friend who's actually part of Motherless Daughters, and I remember, so this was, I don't know, a few years ago. So I was younger, maybe a little bit more naive. I would try and Mother's Day would come up and we'd all kind of try and rally around her. But there were times when I felt I was saying something wrong or I wasn't saying enough. How can we, in our own lives, be better support systems for our friends and family members who have lost their mum?
It's really tough, and quite often we're all guilty. Before we've lost our mums, also within our community, we said some of those things as well. So it is tough to know what to say, but more awareness out there means that we can do better. And holding space and listening is one of the best things that you can do. And simply asking your friend or someone that you know, do you want to talk about your mum, or can I ask you some questions, and giving them the option to say yes or no and going from there. But certainly avoiding things like she's in a better place or your mum would want you to be happy. On many occasions when we're upset, we actually don't care what our mums would want. We just want to be validated and have our feelings normalised in that moment, because we can't help how we feel. And it's quite dismissive of our feelings to just shrug them off because our mums might not want that. We're so sure our mums would understand that we're sad and that we miss her. So, asking, what was your mum's name? Would you like to share a favourite memory of her? Or you're not alone. Do you want to go for a walk on Mother's Day? Just really inviting conversation rather than shutting it down or encouraging someone to be happy is always going to result in a much better outcome, and to allow that person to feel validated.
And from a bigger perspective, what can, governments, councils, sporting clubs, like these places that hold space for women and, have a role to play in this, what do you wish we could see from them in response to, I suppose, helping motherless daughters feel more supported and feel like they can take up space on Mother's Day?
Just an acknowledgement. I mean, the acknowledgement side of things is just incredibly powerful. Sharing that we exist as an organisation and a support network for women and girls whose mums have died is also going to have a significant impact. We have a community of over 25,000 women, but there's 3.9 million Australian women out there who have experienced mother loss, and 1.2 million of those experienced the loss before the age of 44. So that is a really significant number and a really high volume of women who have no idea that our support exists. And just sharing a simple message or a simple acknowledgement that we see you and we hear you on Mother's Day and allowing space to celebrate all mums is really, really important and will just have a far-reaching impact.
Danielle, thank you so much for talking to us today and for helping us better understand how we can better understand motherless daughters. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
That was Danielle Snelling, the co-founder of Motherless Daughters Australia. And if you feel like you need to talk to someone after today's chat, remember Lifeline is always there on 13 11 14. And you can also check out motherlessdaughters.com.au for some amazing resources. And that is all for this episode of The Briefing. Thanks for listening. Before you go, if you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could share it with someone you think might like it too. And if you want to keep up with our other content, you can check us out on Instagram at The Briefing Podcast. We're also on TikTok and on YouTube. Search Listener Newsroom. I'm Sasha Barbagat. See you next time.
Listener.